Wisconsin's like, we don't necessarily want to stay the fifth best job. We want to try to become the fourth, third, or first, second or first best.
To me, no hire more impressive than Wisconsin getting Luke Fickell to leave Cincinnati and come to Madison. There's legitimately nothing else you could probably want. This is probably the single best coach Wisconsin could have reasonably attracted. Luke Fickell, incredible job at Cincinnati. Previously was at Ohio State, played at Ohio State, got recruiting ties in Ohio. I think he's going to upgrade their recruiting. I think they're going to get more athletic. I think they had 9 draft picks he developed last year.
9 draft picks at Cincinnati?
9.
I mean,
that is taking players and developing them. You look at Sauce Gardner, AFC Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, I mean. Kobe Bryant doing well. Like, he's got an eye for talent. He develops them. Just a great hire for Wisconsin. The real issue was, wow, does he want to go there? And I think he just kind of got boxed out. Like, last year, the timing was bad with the playoff. He couldn't go to Notre Dame. Ohio State has got Ryan Day, and he's a young guy, not on the verge of getting fired, no matter what the sports talk radio callers in Columbus say. James Franklin has got a mega deal at Penn State, and if an old Buckeye could take the Michigan job, well, I mean, Harbaugh could be there for life. So I guess this is the next best one other than going south. Pat, thoughts on Fickell to Wisconsin for both Fickell and Wisconsin?
Absolute home run for Wisconsin. We'll see if it is for Fickell. I think it's a good move for Fickell too. He was ready to go, as you alluded to. The timing was not going to work last year. He was not, unlike Brian Kelly, going to walk out on a potential playoff team. But he was ready. He was, even though I feel like he thinks he did his job fully at Cincinnati, and he did, obviously, better than anybody could have expected. But if you look at the sum total of it, you stay with that group of players that was a very special group, a huge nucleus of seniors, plus some very talented underclassmen, and you get them to the playoff. You go undefeated in the regular season 2 years in a row. You get Cincinnati into the Big 12, a game-changing conference affiliation. And, okay, my work here is done. And I'm a Midwestern guy. Like, I think, if Luke Fickell had gone to USC, I think he would do great. If he had gone to LSU, I think he would do great. But he is a Midwestern fit through and through. And so one of the best jobs there, and none of them are available, Wisconsin, is that next one after Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, in whatever order. It's the 5th best job. It can be a real good job. And to me, it signals that Wisconsin's like, we don't necessarily want to stay the 5th best job. We want to try to become the 4th, 3rd, or first, second or first best. So it is a big move and a big win for Wisconsin.
I think a lot of people were waiting for, or thinking that Luke was going to wait for 2 or 3 jobs. Ohio State, Notre Dame, Michigan. Notre Dame came open last year, and like Dan said, kind of the timing just wasn't right of all the times for one of those 3 jobs to come open. If I had to guess, not like I've talked to him about it, but I guess that was a little disappointing, him not getting that job and the timing not working out there. And it's probably going to be the best hire of the cycle for any team, any program. I think people would make arguments for Rhule at Nebraska. People might make arguments for Freeze at Auburn, but I would say that getting Luke Fickell, who has turned down multiple interest in multiple jobs over the years, getting him to leave is the biggest splash of the cycle.
Nebraska gets Matt Rhule over the weekend. He turned it down last week. They work out the numbers. He comes in. He's a talker. He built up Temple. He took over Baylor and did such a good job. It's hard to remember how bad of a situation Baylor was. Like, he turned a disaster into just a little hiccup. And now he's got some NFL experience, which no matter how bad you are in the NFL, it's still a bonus. And I think we all think Nebraska has enormous potential because of their NIL possibilities and their fan base and can a guy like Matt Rhule bridge the gap of where the hell are we getting players? Because it's the only thing missing at Nebraska is players. So Ross, thoughts on Matt Rhule?
Yeah, just visiting there like 6 weeks ago or so. I spent 3 or 4 days there, and they've got it all except one thing. They've got the resources. They building a $160 million new football facility to replace a facility that most Power 5 teams would like to have. They fill the stadium. The fans are incredible. They're the only game in town. They got a lot of money. They got a lot of NIL money. They've got it all except a nearby recruiting footprint with a lot of talent. That's what they're missing. Obviously it was a big hire. I think that, it almost didn't work out. I think that this was probably, you talked to folks up at Nebraska, and this is maybe the third time that they had circled back to Rhule, talking to him. The first time a few weeks ago, it didn't work out for whatever reason. And they circled back because, I think that there were quite a bit of people who have current college jobs who did not want the Nebraska job. I do. And so they circled back to him, and it worked out in the end. I think they got really who they wanted to at the start. I really think they had zeroed in on him being the guy. It sure seems like. He's got an incredible resume in college, incredible turnarounds at Temple and Baylor. He is a win the press box guy, or win the press conference guy too. You saw it yesterday. Like, I think he's the son of a preacher. I mean, you could tell, he is enthusiastic and bubbly and talkative, and man, you can see why kids want to go play for him. So he's got to find players. He's got to get them to Lincoln, Nebraska. That's about all they're missing.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they did absolutely as well as they could to get Matt Rhule. The one thing, and I think this will be fine, but the college world's changed since Matt Rhule was last in it in 2019. We all know the big changes: the transfer, immediate eligibility transfer, and NIL. But he's a smart guy. He's actually been out of work for like 8 weeks. He probably had a chance to study up, knowing he was going back to the college game, and start working on staff and everything else. So I don't think it will be a huge impediment, but a good, solid football guy for a place that needs a good, solid football coach.
And I think part of the reason why early on maybe it broke down with Rhule is, we got to remember, Rhule has had $40 million coming to him to do nothing at all. And he was on a beach. I saw that he was on a beach during his interview with Game Day, and somewhere on a beach. And yeah, that's where I would be too. I think a lot of people would have just stayed on the beach. But he comes to Nebraska, and clearly by the structure of his contract, I think some of the Panthers' money is being used early in the first couple years or so. But the Panthers just got off real nicely. Instead of $40 million, maybe they have to only give $10 million to him.
Maybe hiring him in the first place for Carolina wasn't the brightest idea. Also, don't take an NFL job unless you got a quarterback, gentlemen.
Yeah. That's the eternal truth.
Good advice.
Yeah.